Jasmine Surti, what a pleasure to see you. How are you?
I'm good, and it's great to see you, Bill.
Yeah, my impression is you are a very busy person, and yet you're taking a few minutes to chat about Lawrence Neighbors Together, your involvement in it, some of your passions, and I want to make the best of the time we have. I learned only recently that you grew up in the area. Tell us a little about your growing up in, I think, Pennington, right?
Great. Yeah, my family moved to Pennington when I was about to start sixth grade. Back then, the elementary school went up to sixth grade, and then the middle school was seventh and eighth. So I
Hmm.
started sixth grade in this area, and I went to school there until high school, until the end of high school.
Hmm. Well,
And my parents still live in Pennington.
aha, yeah.
So in more recent times, my family and I moved back after having lived different places, moved back to the area in 2016. So
So
that's
tell me, so why did you choose Lawrence to come back to?
well, I think it was a couple of different things. We wanted to be closer to my family, and I had younger children. I mean, they're now teenagers, but at the time, elementary and approaching middle school. And we wanted to be near my family, and also just love this community and wanted to live. What I love about Mercer County is there's there's still a lot of nature and natural beauty, and
Mhm.
also um, access to lots of the local cities. So like easy to get to Philadelphia, New York. And I also really was looking for a school district that would where my kids would feel like they were part of, that they belonged there.
Yes,
And
yes.
my husband is from India, so my kids are half Indian and half American, and I wanted them to find a community that they felt they belonged in.
And Lawrence offered that.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I was I
So,
was um I was a little naive about it, but I'm actually really glad we picked Lawrence.
mhm.
Um, I kind of thought about the diversity of the area as definitely a plus, and I still do. But I also don't think I realized that there's a lot that doesn't necessarily mean it's all fun and games all the time. Like there's problems.
So if you could wave a magic wand, what would be, say, the first two or three things you would change if you could?
Well, I guess if I'm zeroing in on our schools, I really feel that there's um, an unacceptable achievement gap that breaks along racial lines in our school district. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that is every single person's experience, but um, I think that there is, like in so many institutions in this country, there are institutional, effects of systemic racism that hold people back. And I don't know if I could wave a magic wand and fix that problem, but I think it would take sustained effort and community-wide, work to
Hmm.
change it over time. And it's something that I think that I know the progress and change inside of institutions is slow, but can be slow. But I think there's been some efforts towards really embracing equity for our schools in recent years, and I just hope that they keep going and that they keep bearing benefits. That there's a true commitment to long-term and sustaining change.
See, these kinds of concerns from the very day I met you, I think maybe it was at the township council meeting we first met.
Possibly.
Uh, and I sensed your passion um, for a range of social equity, social justice issues. And then I learned later you were a banker. Now, if I had been asked to sort of stereotype bankers, I wouldn't have come up with this kind of orientation that you have? Where did that come from? Or
Um,
maybe Bill Howard is wrong about bankers, you know?
I mean, yeah, I actually got into banking after having gone to college for a liberal arts degree. So I'm not someone who, kind of grew up thinking I was going to go into business. But the reason that I chose banking as a career at that time was really I wanted to um, do something that was straightforward. And I know it sounds funny now, even when I say it to myself, but something that didn't have as much nuance to it. And that was like, I could go put my time and effort into it and know that I gave my all and kind of go home and rest from that. And to work in a company that would promote me from within and give me the opportunity to grow. And I've been with one bank the whole time as I've been working there. And it has been that for me. It's enabled
Yes.
me to learn and the most important part of my job is people and the integrity of, I don't directly work one-on-one with customers, but knowing that my work is in service of customers,
Mm-hmm.
that's always been a big driver for me. So um, early in my life, I was exposed to this idea that it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you do it with your pure intention and your commitment and your devotion, and that makes the material into a spiritual pursuit. So that's kind of I would say that's the philosophy that has guided my career in terms of, it doesn't have to be something that will outwardly seem as if it's going to change the world. We change the world by being who we are in every situation that we're in and bringing that to whatever, whatever interactions, whatever job it is that I do in this world. Um, and I want to say that since 2016, which coincided with my family's move to this area where we live now, my job, the stability of my job, and all the privilege that I hold in my life and in my career has enabled me to have the time and have the energy and that the mental space to do other things too. So there kind of came a turning point for me where I felt that I could no longer expect things to go well in the world if I wasn't, doing something with my free time, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
using the time that I have, using energy that I have for something that I believe in. And I have not looked back ever since then. I've just been,
Yes.
looking on how I can get involved and use whatever God gave me to serve, to serve the community, to serve others, friends, community members, colleagues, customers. It's all the same to me.
But look, as I don't think the audience can see your T-shirt. You have a particular passion for.
Stand action for gun sense in America. Yes.
That's right. That's right. You've chosen this one issue among others that you're concerned about, but you, without a doubt, within Lawrence Neighbors Together, we look to you as the person who spearheads our focus on gun violence. Why gun violence? Why have you chosen this to be such an emphasis?
Well, I think it's one of the biggest issues facing our country today. And my personal journey with understanding this country's problem with gun violence has changed over time. So when I first got involved, I knew about friends of mine who were working with Moms Demand Action and speaking out about the just the incidences of gun violence in our communities, whether it's schools or anywhere and everywhere that it's happening, and looking for common sense ways that we can change that landscape, that we can change the frequency of it, because it really, gun violence helps no one. I think that goes without saying, but there's no upside to having this national problem. And when there are practical, common sense ways to combat it, to me, why wouldn't we do those things? Why wouldn't we embrace whatever we could do to lessen this problem? Which is some people say it's a public health crisis.
Yes. Now, but as a parent, does that shape your social vision? I mean, to some extent, I'm sure it does, but
It
how
does.
does
It definitely does. My older child was in first grade when the Sandy Hook shooting took place.
Mm.
And I remember just the horror of looking at my first grader and realizing that a classroom full of first graders just like her was shot dead with a gun. And it at the time that happened, many parents said to ourselves, well, this has got to be the last straw. This has got to be the last straw. No one will let this happen again. And sadly, that has not been the case. But what I had learned as the more I got involved with gun violence activism and prevention and really studying, and through Moms Demand Action, really learning the facts of the matter, I have learned how much of the gun violence that takes place in our country is not a national news story, but it's the everyday community gun violence that is experienced in many cities, and also the high rate of suicide by gun that we have in this country. And those things really speak to just the ubiquitousness of guns and access to guns, and that is directly, I believe, directly correlated to the amount of gun death that we see.
Well, let me say that our mutual friend, Martha Friend, tells me that we have in Lawrence Neighbors Together, which we refer to now as LNT, right? Has some over 200 residents of Lawrence signed up. But you are among the earliest to get involved with this group. What do you see is in its potential?
Well, what I really love about Lawrence Neighbors Together, and I'm so grateful for about it, is the opportunity for us to have these community conversations on topics that are important to us. When I think about, politics on the grand national scale, and you even think about things like gun laws or gun rights, there tends to be this polarization of these national issues, and people kind of taking a side and holding a position. But what doesn't happen a lot in that arena is dialogue and person-to-person connection and communication.
Yes.
And I really crave for some neighborly communication and camaraderie, and the fact that we live in this community and we love this community. These are the streets we walk on. These are the streets we drive down. These are the restaurants we go to eat, and the people we see at community celebration type events. And we have some common interests here. We want a good community. Like we want to, I believe, I think at the local level, you can really see how interpersonal relationships, the history of the place itself, the way that different resources are cared for, maintained, and stewarded by our community members and our elected officials. This is the day-to-day experience we live. So this local organization has the access and the connectivity to bring our community together and have these dialogues, and I feel that can only be a good thing. I don't think it's good when we take a position and stick to it and argue about it, get more entrenched in our position. I think it's good when we listen to each other, learn from each other, see what we have in common, see the things that we share, and how we can uphold our values.
I think you've nailed my own motivation for being so interested in this effort. And I can say maybe this is a confession, Jasmine. I've been in Lawrence since '79. And if you challenge me to name 10 people that I know in Lawrence, other than our Lawrence Neighbors Together fellowship, which is growing, I would be hard pressed to do that. Uh, and I think there are many residents of Lawrence who sleep here, but don't really live here. And I think more and more there's an awareness in the country that local action is where it is. Getting more deeply acquainted with the people who live next door to you, as you put it so well. And I have high hopes. And you notice that our picnic this year attracted a few more folk who had never been involved with us before, which is an indication. And Fred Vereen, who's been a part of what we've been doing, he's always the one who says, let's do something social. We have these very wonderful, meaty, informative conversations, which are so vital. But every now and then we should step away and just have a coffee or tea or water or wine, whatever it is we want, and just be with one another. And we should look for more opportunities like that. And
I think that's wonderful. And Fred is such a wise pillar of the community, and I admire him so much. And I didn't even know that he had suggested the social side, because I totally agree with him about that.
Yes.
For me, I love a good party, and I love to socialize. And I also think that humans are uniquely able to enjoy each other. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're also uniquely able to harm each other. But
wow.
Let's do the joy. Let's find out how we can do more of that.
Yes. Well, you may know, I think you do know, that I'm a retired preacher. And I used to say in the church, human beings are capable of the greatest and the worst in just 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
But now, listen, I'm not going to have you refuse to take my call when I reach out to you. So I don't want to keep you too long.
No, that's all right.
But give us a parting word. What is it that you'd like to share with the audience that we've not talked about so far, if there's anything?
Well, I guess if I was going to pick one thing or the other, I know we talked about maybe sharing a little bit more about the mission and focus of Moms Demand Action for gun sense, but that definitely is a cause that's dear to my heart and will always continue to be. Some people might think that because we live in New Jersey and New Jersey has some of the strongest gun laws in the country, that we don't have a problem with gun violence here, but that is sadly not true. So I think that there are ways that, that I continue to advocate for, that our state and our communities can adopt to prevent more gun death. That's something I'm always happy to speak on at any time, and share more ideas for. But in terms of Lawrence Neighbors Together, which is, separate but connected, I just really think our organization has so far shown itself to be a place where dialogue can happen, exploration, community members coming together. I'm really curious and interested and looking forward to more work around the master plan of our town, which is a local topic that you won't see on the news. You won't see it out there playing out on the national stage, but where you will see it is right here in this community. And it feels momentous to think that living here now and sharing in this community, we can set intentions and shape of this
for some time to come
process. Definitely. And so I think that's very exciting. And I think it's exciting in the way only local topics can be. So I hope that folks watching this video will get curious about some of these things and come on and get involved with us.
Well, let me just thank you once again. It's been more than a pleasure. And hopefully, when others see this, they will see themselves in you, a professional with lots of demands on their time, but who still takes time to be meaningfully engaged in things they care about other than work.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's wonderful to know you, Bill.
Well, thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Righto. Bye-bye.